This 7-0 victory means that Fulham have won the championship. They've been in emphatic form for much of the season. Fans have been waiting for this moment.
Absolutely brilliant.
What a lovely moment as well. He's got his Fulham scarf round his neck.
I'm pretty confident that Fulham are going to be relegated this season.
I'm putting them to get relegated.
But I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling Fulham. Obviously, Mitrovic scoring silly amount of goals in the Championship, but in the past, he's never made that step up. He's never done it in the Prem.
He can! Once again he can say, Alisson, my aim is true. That's the brace by Alexander Mitrovic. It's Robbie Decker over Reed inside the box. Nishkins Kibano. Yes! Alexander Mitrovic. He's done it again. Well, there's 101 in front of the Hammersmith end.
Hello and welcome to the Woodwork. Today I'm doing a special video where I'm going to analyse what is going right for Fulham in this current moment. As you can see by the intro I created, they are in absolute incredible form and I want to analyse what has made them go into this incredible form. Joining me on this video is special guest Jack Shroudley, who's a Fulham fan himself. He also works on the podcast Fulhamish, so if you want to go and check that out, the link will be in the description below. Fulham have won 5 of their last 6 games, and included in them 6 games, they've beat the likes of Crystal Palace, Leicester City and Chelsea. They currently sit 6th in the league, but I think when I publish this video it might be 7th, which is absolutely amazing for them, seeing as every time they've come in the Prem the past few years, they've struggled to stay in the Prem, and not only have they stayed in the Prem this time, they're absolutely battering it. So the big question for this video is, could Fulham actually qualify for European tournaments? Not only that, I'm going to delve down a little bit into whether they would do well if they qualified for European tournaments. Because I don't think it should be forgotten, but the last time Fulham was in a European competition, they made it all the way to the final, which was back in 2010, I want to say. Alright, let's get into the video.
In terms of the most key cog in this kind of Fulham, like the Fulham side and like managerial side of things, Marco Silva is probably the most important member of the club.
From what we've seen of Fulham in these past couple of seasons to what we see Fulham as now, that has definitely been influenced majorly by Marco Silva. Been an absolutely fantastic manager for Fulham. You know, when you look at the aspects of the transfers he's made, the players he's improved in the squad, and how well they did in the Championship, realistically, it shouldn't be this surprising that they're doing well in the Prem. I mean, when you really do the research and look into their squad and how well they were doing in the Championship, it's hard to believe that a lot of people had put them in relegation zone. Like, to finish the Championship with 106 goals and 90 points, it's insane. It's absolutely mental. And I know we see a lot of clubs that go from the Championship to the Premier League and then get relegated, but for a team to do that well in the Championship and for them to just easily be predicted, oh, they'll go back down, I think it was harsh. I will go into the transfers and the other kind of criteria that have made Fulham to what they are now, but I'm just going to let Jack speak on Marco Silva because I think what he says is absolutely perfect.
Kind of the philosophy and what he's brought to the club since he's come in has been absolutely second to none. You know, he's getting the best out of players that were really bit part for us before under the likes of Scott Parker and Slavici Jokanovic. Fulham obviously are a very community-based club. He gets that to a T, absolutely gets that. We've had a lot of kind of last season, there was, I vividly remember there was a fan who tragically died in the stands. And then from that moment on, he was very attentive to the family. He got all the players to go and meet the family after the game and all that sort of stuff. He's been very, very hands-on. And then obviously we can talk about on the pitch. He's just got us playing better than probably the best since Roy Hodgson, which was in 2010, to be perfectly honest with you. And we just look so good. And I'm so confident going into any game that we're actually going to get a result.
I think one of the most crucial parts to Fulham's success this season, and arguably one of the most shocking parts as well, is the transfers they've made. The ones that have shocked me the most are players like Bernd Leno and Willian. You know, if you asked about Bernd Leno or Willian last season, everyone would say, oh, they're washed, you know, they're out of it, they're not good anymore, you know, they're done. They've been absolutely phenomenal at Fulham, and this is all under the management of Marco Silva. And they've signed players, and sorry if I butcher this, João Palhinha and Andres Pereira, who have been unbelievable for them as well. He's only looking at one aspect of players. This isn't even looking at the full squad. This is just purely looking at the signings they've had. And for me, every player that I've mentioned, they've done really well. For Marco Silva to change players like Willian and Bernd Leno to what they're doing now, as dramatic as it may sound, I think he's done a really good job. I couldn't think of many fans who would want players like Leno or Willian at their club. And I can imagine when Fulham did sign him, they'd probably be not as good. But I think everyone is pleasantly surprised of how well they're doing. Here's what Jack has to say about it.
If you look around, you know, everyone's kind of fitted into the system and it's allowing Mitrovic to flourish the way he is. You know, the likes of Bobby Decordova-Reid, who, again, I didn't really think was going to be a Premier League player, but he's playing incredibly well. We've brought Willian in, who, you know, I thought that's going to be a dreadful signing, but he's been absolutely incredible for us. And another player going forward, Andres Pereira, who we signed from Manchester United, again, another one who I thought, you know, is he really going to do it? But he's been absolutely sensational for us.
Now for the big question. Will Fulham get European football? I just want to talk about how no one is actually speaking about Fulham as of recently. I really sound like a Fulham fanboy, but I'm not. I'm just very surprised that it's very quiet around the whole Fulham thing, because for me, seeing Fulham in these positions is absolutely mental. Like, I always hear how well and, you know, how good Brighton are doing, and granted, they are doing pretty well, but Fulham are on the exact same points as Brighton. And same with Brentford. I'm always hearing Brentford are doing incredible, and again, they are, but Fulham are above Brentford. Not only that, Fulham are also above Liverpool, they're above Chelsea, and yeah, there's a whole argument that there's a lot of teams in the Premier League that are not doing well right now. And yes, I do agree with that, but also I think Fulham are doing considerably well, considering the circumstances. They may have a game in hand, and looking at it, they might not get European football, but the predictions of them getting relegated, I mean, everyone was completely wrong. I'm going to let Jack discuss whether he thinks the club will get European football or not, and where he thinks the club will place at the end. For me, I think Fulham might get 9th or 10th, but I think, you know, Conference League, it could be in their cards, and I'm going to say that if they do get it, I won't be that surprised. Anyway, here's Jack.
Look, I think whatever happens this season, Fulham fans have got something to be proud of, and we've got a real project to build on. We've been absolutely fantastic. Fulham fans never go to games now. We'll sing, we're all going to the European. So I think that's very tongue-in-cheek, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. You know, I'd love us to keep this up. We've got a really tricky run of games now, we're in the middle of a really tricky run of games. We played Chelsea, which effectively is the cup final for us. We won that, so that was happy days. We lost narrowly to Newcastle on the weekend. We've got Tottenham on Monday, and then we've got Chelsea again, and then I play Brighton in a couple of games time as well. So we've got a real tricky run of games coming up. And for me, it's, you know, let's get through those run of games, see if we're still there or thereabouts. Also got to remember, we're the only team that's played 20 games. Everyone else has got games in hand on us. We've had rather points, but people have got games in hand on us as well. I like to look at statistics and that sort of stuff. I'm a bit of a nerd for all that sort of stuff. In terms of like the expected goals conceded, we're bottom of the league, actually, to be honest with you. So I think if that doesn't tell you the type of season that Bernd Leno's having a goal for us, I don't know what will. So I think, and to be honest, this squad as well, it's a good squad, but we are kind of lacking in kind of positions in kind of rotation. So if we can plug one or two gaps this window and continue getting lucky with Bernd Leno having the season that he's having, I mean, who knows? But I think the expectation now for Fulham fans is we seem to be like, I'd like to hope we're going to be fine. We're still in this mindset of we're used to getting relegated. So even though we're sitting in January, we're like 14 points clear. We're still a bit like, well, you know. So obviously, get to that magic 40, if you will. Keep playing the way we're playing. I'd love a cup run. I'd absolutely adore a cup run. You know, Fulham have never won a major trophy. You know, we've only ever made one cup final. I'd absolutely adore a cup run. To be perfectly honest with you, but I think if we just keep playing the way we're playing, we haven't really been battered by anyone other than Newcastle at home when we had 10 men for 8 minutes. Other than that, we've been in every single game. You know, we've conceded in the last minutes of City, United, Newcastle, and Arsenal. You know, that was obviously a bit of a killer, but it shows the levels that we're at. And you know, if we keep playing the way we are, who knows?